How do we realistically render materials for elements such as gold, silver, copper and bronze in Blender? I'll show that in this video. Once you have created one, you will be able to create the others very easily. Ambient lighting must also be good for these objects to look realistic and beautiful. For this, you can provide ambient lighting by using HDR images. I've added a gold bar model to the scene. So, starting with the gold material, I can show you how these materials are made. Objects like gold look much better on smooth surfaces. That's why we are going to use the Subdivision surface modifier. I click on the Modifier tab and select the Subdivision surface option. When we choose this, we'll see that the round lines are smoother, and let's increase the levels here, the subdivision levels. In both the render part and the viewport part, we can try these values with numbers as high as 4 or 5. When you increase these values, your computer will slow down as well. Take action with this in mind. I'll leave it at 3. Now we can create our first material. Let's start with the gold material. First, I switch from wireframe mode to solid mode and then click on the material tab. Let's create a new material by clicking the new button and change the name of the material to gold. Now we will determine the color of the gold. I click on the color of the base color and here we can choose a color that is close to gold. However, we can also have a pinpoint gold color by directly entering the hex code. I'm typing FFC125 here. This is a golden hex code and I click the enter button. As you can see, the base color will have changed. We will not be able to see the golden color on the scene at the moment because we need to change view mode to render mode. I change it with the render mode and now we can see the golden color. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, you can brighten the environment with HDR images. But here I will temporarily use an HDR image from within Blender. If you render, this lighting will not be valid. Only in this viewport area we will see this environment image. I click the down arrow and uncheck scene world. When I uncheck this option, you will see an HDR image that comes with Blender as an example. We can continue with this image. Let's go back to the material part again. Here I am replacing the metallic option with a value of 1. When I replace it with 1, we will see that the object on the scene gets a little more golden. The roughness value is currently too high for the gold material. By doing this 0.2, we can get a more realistic image. Now we will solve the reflection problem on this gold. Let me first show you what the problem is. I'm copying the gold bar. I rotate it and place it over the gold. Normally, we should be able to see the reflection of the lower object on the side of the upper object. However, this is currently passive. We need to activate this feature, this reflection feature. We'll also do this from render properties. We tick the screen space reflection option. When you check this option, we will be able to see the reflection that should be. Likewise with the object above, will be reflected below. When we open its options, I uncheck half raise trace and set the maximum value to 0.2. Blender uses Eevee as its default rendering engine. You can also convert to cycles. Both are different, both can give good results. Right now I'm going through Eevee and you will see the option bloom. I also activate this bloom option. When I activate this, we can also see the glow effect on the gold. We were using the default HDR image that comes in Blender for environmental lighting. When the camera lands on the bright areas of this image, you will see those areas shine. I am removing it for now, but I wanted to mention that there is such an option when you want to use it. As I mentioned before, when you render, you will need to add an HDR image, as you will not get the result here. If you don't add this, you will get a result like this when you render. So let's add our own HDR image. First I click on World Properties and click on the circle next to Color and select Environment Texture. By clicking the Open button, I access the HDR image on my computer. If you are not familiar with what HDR images are, you may not get the effect of this type of metal properly. In my previous videos, I explained what HDR images are, how they are found and how they are used. Now I will show you how to make silver material. I hide the tab object and create a copy of it. By clicking on this action, its name has changed to 001 and I am changing it to silver. Let's enter the hex code of the silver color now. I enter the C0, C0, C0 values here and click the enter button. When we enter this information, we can see that the object turns silver. I'm copying the silver object. This time I will show you how to make copper material. Let's copy this material and change its name to copper. I changed the hex code of the base color to B87333 this time. I'm copying the last object again. Let's copy that material too. Let's change the name to bronze. Let's enter the base color as the hex code again. I enter it as CD7F32. Thus, we will get the bronze color as well. I copied over these objects to better understand the reflection on one of the objects. And this is how they look. I think they look pretty good. In this video, I have shown how to quickly create gold, silver, copper and bronze materials. That's it for this video. I hope it was useful. See you in the new Blender tutorials.